invocation and ask everybody to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we'll have the adoption of the agenda and approval of the minutes of the November 14th meeting. I have a motion that we adopt the agenda and approve the minutes.
Second.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor signify with up hand. Thank you very much. All right. On the information items, Ms. Kim, you look like you're the first up. Financial reports.
Ready to go.
I know, ready to go. Well, this month represents actuals and revenues received through November 30th. So you can see we're almost 42% of the year complete. And I'm happy to report that we did not have to institute the TAN, which was great. And the reason being is that our tax commissioner, Candace, was able to release funds as quickly as they were receiving them, which there was no guarantee because obviously taxes are due on the 20th. So getting them in advance as soon as she could get the escrow account and possibly, I don't know who all paid at that point, but they were able to transfer out about $3.6 million. So when you see our fund balance of $400,000 or $4 million, that would have left us somewhere around $380,000 to $400,000, which for us is really, really close. So if that hadn't happened, we would have had to institute the TAN. So I'm great to report that we had it, that was available, but didn't need it because of those revenues coming in. And then before you can see all the other expenditure in the different functional categories. So that's why we were able to end the month at $4,002,385. So.
All right, good.
If you have any questions, I'd be happy.
Any questions about the general fund report? All right, no.
Okay, we can go into the special revenue. This represents pretty much all the other revenues that we receive. Federal, pre-K, and school nutrition. So you can see before you the actuals and expenses to date. We are starting to play some catch up in the federal grant area. So majority of those have been authorized by the DOE at this point. I think we were just waiting on some CTAE ones that were a little late. So we'll play catch up in the month of December on those. But overall, we're in a great position and have sufficient funds in school nutrition to cover our overages in that area. So I feel good where we're standing here today in those accounts.
All right, thank you. Any questions about that one? All right.
Then we'll go to the SPLOST report details. This provides your past 3 months of expenditures that we paid out of the SPLOST account. I'll bring to your attention that in the month of November, we collected $562,154, which was up 4% compared to the year before, which is great. Even more when you look at it in comparison to October. So got to remember November represents October sales. So that's great. You can see the expenditures on the right, which obviously the line is the phase 2 project at the middle school. See that we ended the month $2,525,944. That will quickly. So, middle school is marching on, and Mr. Moore will talk about that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Any questions about that one?
And then if we'll look at the SPLOST projection report, again, this is where you see us needing our funds. So, like I said, after we get through the month of December, we're going to, and what you'll see before you today in action items is for approval for us to borrow from us internally until we get our financing in place. So there'll be actually 2 different actions. So one action is to us to borrow from our operating funds into SPLOST The second one is for us to repay Splosh from the new future financing. So it's kind of like a triple thing. So one's to borrow from ourselves, then the other one's to replenish Splosh back so that Splosh isn't at ground zero, because on the heels of this, things like technologies and so forth that, traditional expenses that we've utilized Splosh for, as well as some debt payments, will be needed. So we don't need to have it at ground zero, which it will be, but we can refund part of it back from. So that just gives us it gives us some flexibility, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So those will be a few actions you'll see before you. Okay?
Okay. Any other questions about that? We'll go right into the
And then we'll look at the JMS Phase 2 expenditures. This gives you not only where we are today, but where we're looking at. And that's where, like I said, you can see there's a lot of big, heavy lifting, a lot of steel, the framing, and so forth. But then it'll be starting to trail off, because this is when you're going to get into some of the interior work, which doesn't cost as much because the steel and cement, obviously, that all has a bigger price tags associated with it. So, but you can see out there the plan for the next, basically, 2 years almost, to finish up the middle school project. Okay? Just want to keep you guys apprised of that.
Okay.
And then last but not least, the utility analysis. Electric's running pretty standard. Gas, same way, not a whole lot of issues there. I do want to draw the attention on the water. You'll notice the middle school fire hydrant. My gut is that's more related to the middle school project. They're probably tapping into that water source available to fill up their tanks to do whatever with. So whether it's brick work or cement work, I'm sure some of that's related to the middle school project. Then, of course, the other line item that we're still trying to figure out is the high school. We spoke with the city, and they were able to look back in time, and let's say pick on a Sunday, and they could see that there's water running, or 7,500 gallons used on a Sunday, which that means we got a leak somewhere. Either a toilet's running continuously, which I don't know if that in and of itself would be 7,500 gallons, or there's a leak somewhere, and we can't tell whether or not it's stopped up, or not stopped up, but running off of one of the toilet, or if it's a line that's broken on an irrigation, which we're not really seeing anything come up out of the ground, so that's hard. So we're still on a mission to figure out where it is at this point. So just know we're aggressively looking, and have to identify it shortly. Okay? That's all I have for you today.
All right, anybody come back, got any questions about anything on the financial reports? All right, thank you, Kim. All right, I guess the next one will be transportation report.
Mr. Weaver's driving today, so I'll cover it.
Well, I figured.
First, starting off with fuel usage, down about 1,000 from last month. You see there the price of gas, $2.93, and propane $2.65. Bus service and repair, $7,800, up $2,500 from last month. Total cost of operation, $19,354, up a little bit from last month. Personnel, all route drivers and monitors are in place. Sub-driver positions will be filled starting in January. Just run the same number of routes, 18 regular ed routes, 2 special ed, and 1 GNETs. Field trips, 51 trips in November, and 26 already on the sheet for December. No recommendations. A couple of updates that Mark wanted me to share. Propane infrastructure lines are being installed for fueling. These are the lines from where the tanks are to the dispenser. We'll talk here just a little bit about the lines from on the other side of the dispenser. But these are the lines that Folgers is responsible for. So propane buses were put in service Monday, November 4th. We found that we were getting approximately the same mileage and distance in propane as we get in diesel. Drivers are very pleased with the buses and the quietness of the route that you guys had the opportunity to experience a couple weeks ago. And then also we had our inspection going on today with outstanding results. No buses were down or put out of service. Only 3 minor defects which were corrected on site, and non-mechanical. Mark wanted me to make sure to commend JR and their staff for, and Alex, the work that they do.
Sounds good. Anybody have any questions about the transportation report? None? I guess, the instructional program report. Who's going to do that?
Dr. Hicks.
Okay, so, what we have started out with here, are our CCRPI scores. You will remember that's our College and Career Readiness Performance Index. And, that is comprised of 5 different components. In the past, what you have been accustomed to seeing is our 1 CCRPI score. And we're no longer getting that 1 overall score. Instead, what they're doing is showing it to us by component now. So I'm going to take just a minute to try to briefly go over. I know you guys know about each one of these components. I'm just going to kind of try to go through them briefly with you again as you look at these overall scores. Donna has explained to you before about how these calculations have changed. So you're going to see how we've made some changes and addressed some of these issues as we go. Content mastery is the first component that you see. It actually measures how the students achieve and if they're achieving at a level necessary to prepare them for the next level. It's a weighted achievement score, so that means students who perform in the level 1 or beginning learner, they contribute 0 points to the score. If you score at the developing level, you contribute a ½ point. Proficient contributes 1 point, and then distinguished contributes a 1.5 points. So for our content mastery, you see those scores over there to the side, but I want to remind you about a couple of things, and that is you can see the breakdown by content if you go online and look at that public information. So you could see what, 3rd grade ELA is doing and what 3rd grade mathematics is doing. Also, I'll tell you that for Jefferson Elementary, those scores are made up of the 3rd graders that were in 2nd grade the year prior, right? That's how we get a milestone score for the elementary school. And then, because one area that is a level 4 learner is awarded a 1.5 points, remember you can score 100 plus. And if you look at our individual scores, you would see that in mathematics, 3 out of 4 of our schools actually have 100 plus score in mathematics. So that'll come up again in just a second.
See how she pointed out mathematics.
That's right, that's right.
Well, it's because it's a segue to something else.
Okay.
Hang on.
All right.
So you'll see that the next component is progress. Progress measures the growth students demonstrate from one year to the next in 3 areas. Those are English language arts, mathematics, and in English learners progressing towards proficiency in that 2nd language. So this category actually takes into account those achievement levels from content mastery coupled with what we call student growth percentiles. And student growth percentiles, they're a little bit hard to understand, but it requires 2 years worth of data. And then what happens is that a student is placed into a group nationally into a group of students in academically similar, scoring in an academically similar way. And then that growth is calculated based on how that entire group does. So it's not about just Jefferson Elementary students. If I had a scale score of 660 in mathematics, then across the nation, students who scored similar to me, I would be in that group. And then that whole group, how it grew, determines how my growth looks, right? So I would either show low growth, typical growth, or high growth. And that growth score, coupled with my achievement score, is what produces a progress grade, a progress score. So You see those there, and ideally it is meant for that ELA and mathematics score to each contribute 45%, and then the English language learners to contribute 10%. But that doesn't always happen. So for instance, if you look at Jefferson High School under progress, those students who took the ELA score in their 11th grade year, that was last year, the last time that they took an ELA milestone was in their 8th grade year. That's how you would calculate their student growth percentile. But in their 8th grade year, that was COVID. So they didn't have any scores from there. So there are no ELA scores for progress for the high school. That means that that score was calculated 90% on mathematics and 10% from those English learners becoming proficient in the second language. So the 45-45-10 split is not always present there. And the same thing happens at the elementary school. The elementary school, those third graders that they typically are scored on do not have a growth percentile because they don't have 2 years worth of data. And so 100% of their scores are partners. So that's the progress indicator. The third indicator there you see is readiness. Readiness is based on students participating in activities that demonstrate readiness for the next level also, but it's different from those previous indicators. So it includes their reading level, their Lexile score at or above grade level. It includes their attendance rate. It includes beyond the core. And I'll just remind you that beyond the core means fine arts, computer science, those exploratory courses that they have at middle school, things like that. In terms of enrollment, that is dual enrollment and AP courses at high school. Also pathway completion. You guys know what that is with regard to CTAE and those series of 3 courses. And then also college and career readiness. That is, that has lots of different parts to it, but for instance, one of them is how many of our seniors graduate and need to take remedial courses at the technical college or a regular USG school. What are their SAT scores, ACT scores? There's lots of factors that contribute to that college and career readiness. So that's where those scores come from. All right, and then you have graduation rate there. The graduation rate, I think you guys understand that. It's you have that 4-year cohort and the 5-year cohort. For the overall score, you see there 97.9. The 4-year contributes 2/3. The 5-year contributes 1/3. And then lastly, as far as these components to our CCRPI score go, we have the closing the gaps component. And the closing the gaps component is a little bit like progress in that growth is very important in closing the gaps, but it's growth in subgroups. So that's what this category really shows us. They will, just very briefly, I'll tell you about how the state calculates that. Just keep in mind that what we want is for all of our students to be performing at a 90% level. When we look at closing the gaps, they take subgroups and they look at how those subgroups perform in the achievement level, and they look at the gap in between that performance and 90%. And they take 3% of that gap. They do that once every 5 years. So in 2022, what they call a baseline was calculated off of those 2022 achievement scores. They get a baseline, they look at each of the subgroups that you see there, and they say, okay, how far away from 90% achievement were we? And then they calculate 3% of that. Now that 3% gets added to each prior year for 5 years. So these 2024 scores, they already had their achievement target 3%. They took that 3% and added it to 2023 scores, okay, to get what it was that we would like for these, the minimum that we would like for these groups to have scored at. So for each one of those, you will be awarded a flag, and the flags represent different point amounts. But it's the same as content mastery. If you don't make any progress, you're gonna have 0 points awarded, and that's the pink flag that you see. If you made progress but didn't reach your target, then you're gonna be awarded a half point. That's the yellow flags that you see. And then the green flags represent those subgroups that met their target. The green flag with stars are only available to those that are historically most at risk. And that is the bottom 3 subgroups there. Economically disadvantaged, English learners, and students with disabilities. Those subgroups, when you get a gold star, means that in those at-risk groups, you have met your target. So you get those points awarded, and it's divided by the number of flags that were given. So you see here, this is an example from our middle school. And you see that there were 20 flags awarded because, for instance, where you see our Asian subgroup, there are no flags across there. That means they did not meet the requirements for enrollment. So they had less than 15 in that subgroup. So you don't get a flag for those. But you also see that mathematics is empty, that column. The reason that column is empty is because last year, this 2024 scores was a new year for mathematics because we had new standards and new assessments. So now this 2024 year becomes our baseline for the next 5 years. Now, of course, you know, because of the things that we've been talking about with regard to the board retreat and also at these monthly meetings, there have been lots of changes put in place. We've had curriculum changes, we've had instructional support changes, student support changes, we've instituted instructional rounds that are all about program effectiveness, because when you drill down at this level, it really becomes about those special programs that you have in place for subgroups and how effective those programs are. So that's really where we are right now in our instructional rounds is getting into that. I know that's a lot of information. And listen, I had called it, okay? So on my previous instructional report, we would still be going. Right? Do you have any questions about those CCI? I know it's a lot to take in, but do you have any questions right now?
Yeah, let me ask, do you see by your analysis of this data any causes for concern?
Yes, no one is happy about the closing the gap scores. The middle school did very well, you see, in their subgroups. That's the example of the flags that I have there for you. We are not happy with it's not that we're unhappy with achievement levels, but the growth is not present in our subgroups. So those are the things that I said at the end. Those are the things that we're trying to attack instructionally, to think about what programs do we see that are being effective, and maybe which ones are we not seeing effectiveness and need to make some changes to. So those things we really started looking at last spring, thinking about what we thought our scores were going to be based on our universal screeners that we do throughout the year. We put lots of things in place and are continuing to monitor those throughout this year.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions?
Then I guess the next thing on the instructional report, as you know, the Leading Edge Award, that award has been suspended this year. I think we've talked about that previously because they're revamping their qualifications and their criteria for that. The Governance Team of the Year, that is also a little bit different this year, but we're starting that process shortly, and we'll be turning some things in after the first of the year. And then, of course, you guys know we talked about this last meeting, the Exemplary Board of Education, and you will receive that award on Friday at the conference. Next on the report, you see we had a safety grant award that was from the GSBA Risk Management Services for this school year. We were awarded almost $2,000, and that was designated for smoke-resistant mats in schools and cut gloves. I have there a tentative date for the Star Teacher of the Year banquet. We have not gotten confirmation of this, but this is just typically where it falls on the calendar. We'll wait on the Chamber of Commerce to let us know for sure. But February 24th is probably going to be the date if they do it as they have historically.
Okay.
And then technology update.
So last week, we sent out a surprise, district-wide fishing campaign. And I'm pleased to say that we were at, less than a 4% click rate. So very excited about that. And, we'll be sharing some tips tomorrow with our staff about what they should be looking for, because this is the time of year where, more scams are prevalent and our guards are down because we're trying to get that best deal on those Christmas gifts. So keep an eye out for, those emails, leave your email.
And-
then,
And I'm assuming if you didn't pass that test, you would know, right?
yes, you will know.
All right.
I
Must have passed.
A module to complete in the Know Before platform that the new lead, purchased for us.
Good.
May I ask, we have a good friend named Tim Finch that at least twice a year goes to the Jackson EMC email jail. Is his phrase. He goes to email jail. Have you got an email jail?
We have a quarantine, yes. There's a quarantine that we have, and every now and then we'll get some emails that get quarantined, and then we decide to let it through or not, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no, what are the punishments?
No punishment. We have one student that, we were alerted that it looked like his account had been, infiltrated, I guess you could say, and Google actually suspended his account. And so we were able to go in and look to see if that was the case, and it was. And so we assisted him on resetting and changing his passwords to password.
You assisted him, huh?
Yes, he did.
Very good.
He could not get into Google Classroom due to his assignment, so we were able to take care of it. And then we started milestone testing today. And so far, I have not heard of heat out of anyone, so that means technology is running smoothly. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's good to hear.
do say.
Do you have any questions about any of the technology reports or the instructional program report at all? All right, very good. Move on to facility report. Dr. Moore?
Yes, sir. Couple things there. First, the middle school construction update. The front new administration building, just an update on where everything is. Interior walls, 95% complete. MEP walls are 95% complete. MEP overhead, 50%. Structural steel columns and beams, almost all complete. Joists and decking is complete. Exterior spray foam insulation, 75%. Exterior brick, 20% complete. Looks like it's more than 20%. And by the look at that water usage, I would say that might be part of the reason. So they're moving quick there with the brick. PVC membrane roofing, 50% complete. And then back on the back side where the gym is, interior, and I'll have some pictures here in just a second of the gym area. Interior walls are 80%. MEP walls 80%. Joist and decking 90%. The gym roofing is 95%, and then the spray foam insulation is 75%. And I do have a few pictures, mainly from the back side. There's the front of the gym. Right there on the left-hand side will be your orchestra room. The entrance will be those 3 doors right there where you'll open into where the concession stand is. And then the right-hand side is the health room. There in the gym. There's the utility drive that goes around the backside of the gym right there. Working on the spray foam. And then this last picture is a picture inside the gym. Really looks nice. Me, Walt, and Miranda did a walkthrough during Thanksgiving week, and it's coming along really, really well. So a lot of good things happen there at the middle school.
Yeah, and I would encourage everybody to ride back there and look at it. Maybe not today. Might need to call a tow truck to get you out, but anyway, it's impressive back there.
Really nice. Second thing there, install electrical wire from Georgia Power pole to the propane dispenser. Mr. Weaver mentioned that they are running a wire from the propane tanks to the dispenser. Now on the other side of that, of the dispenser, Georgia Power is going to put their pole with the 3-phase power. We've got to run power from that pole to the dispenser. So you'll see that as an action item. It's about 30 yards worth of electrical work. We've got 3 bids, and the one that was our lowest bid, Russell recommended, and so we're happy about that. And then the third thing there, demo prep the pass through at opening at Jefferson Academy. If you'll remember, last month you approved the equipment for the refrigeration and heating pieces that will go in there at the academy. Carol Daniel has provided us with a quote to do the demo. Got to cut a hole in the wall, make sure the electrical is all taken care of. So there is a action item for that as well.
All right. Any question about the facilities report? Hearing none, we'll move right along. I guess the next thing we'll go into is action items, and it looks like the first one on the list is that pass-through that you were just talking about.
That's right. Again, as Mr. Moore mentioned, you all approved the purchase of the equipment last month. This is the labor cost. The installation is in the amount of $12,650, and the labor work will be done by Carol Daniel Construction Company. So I would like to recommend you approve the installation of the pass-through by Carol Daniel in that amount shown on your screen.
And this will be shown as as a change order for the construction.
This is at the academy, actually.
Oh,
at the
this is
academy.
at the academy.
Yes.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
If I recall correctly, last month, the academy is the only kitchen that doesn't have this, and so for whatever reason, but now we can get this taken care of and addressed.
All right.
They tell me they can do it during holiday break, so when we come back in January, we'll have it up and going.
That's very good. Why don't you see there before you the recommendation that we enter into the agreement with Carol Daniel for the pass-through at the academy, $12,650. Do I have a motion that we adopt this?
Motion.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? Hear none, all those in favor signify with the uplifted hand. Thank you very much. And the first of I think this is what Kim was talking about, is a reimbursement resolution. If you want to give us the high spots again.
This just gives us the flexibility to reimburse SPLOSH for expenses that it's paying for the middle school project when the middle school financing is approved. So, this just gives us a little latitude to be able to collect monies and deposit them back into the SPLOSH account that's related to the middle school project. So, like I said, this is just flexibility more than anything, and then we can determine how much we want to reimburse ourselves back. So, we just need y'all's approval in order to be able to do this.
Okay. We've seen this as a recommendation. Do I have a motion that we adopt?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any other questions? I know this is, Kim has talked about this several times, but I should want to make sure everybody has an understanding of what we're talking about doing. Everybody okay? No other questions or concerns? All those in favor signify with the uplifted hand. Thank you very much. Approved corrective action plan.
Okay, and I emailed you all about this. This is actually a finding from the audit conducted from the 22-23 school year. And Kim, you can certainly add to this as you see fit. But basically this finding was related to the not being able to locate some of the free and reduced applications, and we think those were in storage in the switchover from one director to another director, and so that ended up resulting in this. So we've had to put in place a corrective action plan, which you have the steps listed there, and then we've got a document that each board member needs to sign relative to this. And then, of course, as I mentioned in the email, I will be attending a training session sometime during the first part of 2025 as you know, to finish up this corrective action plan. Do you have anything else from the financial standpoint that you want to add?
The good news is all these changes here we've actually implemented this past year, so they're, just some things that we've obviously tidied up in this process. So I feel confident that we've made the proper adjustments to meet the requirements.
Very good. The only thing is that we got to do this to keep Donna out of what you call that?
Email jail.
Email jail. That's right.
The
So
audit jail.
I would appreciate the approval.
All right.
Yes.
Corrective action plan. Do I have a motion that we adopt?
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Thank you very much. And approve an internal loan.
Okay.
This is something that Kim mentioned on the go to. Go ahead.
All right, so you have here to approve a temporary loan from the general fund to the Splosh Capital Project Fund until new bond proceeds are received. And again, this is, the middle school project, it's a good problem to have, but that project worked or actually has moved along a lot quicker than what we expect, and which we are thankful for. But it does put us in a situation where we need to be able to reimburse, or approve a loan to be able to put some money and be able to stay on schedule with that project. I don't think anybody, especially Ms. Knight, would want us to delay that until we get, the financing worked out. So we would like to make this in the form of a recommendation.
Well, you heard the recommendation involving the internal loan. It's just sort of to pay ourselves back once to get the bond financing, which we'll talk about later. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
A motion to approve. Is there a second? Second. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Thank you very much. All right.
All right, next up we have approved the closing of the school food services catering bank account. This is based on a recommendation from the Georgia Department of Education that all school catering accounts be closed. So we would like to comply with that request and recommendation from the state level. And so I would make that in the form of a recommendation that you approve this request.
You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A motion, have a second. Any other concerns or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Thank you very much. All right, then we're going to finally gonna get the propane tank wired up.
Yes. And Mr. Moore mentioned this earlier, and this is a quote to install wiring to the propane dispenser from RMW Electrical Contractors. And the total amount will be $9,800. So I would like to make that in the form of a recommendation.
Okay, further recommendation, Superintendent, do I have a motion that this be adopted?
So moved.
A motion, a second. One of you. Any other questions or concerns? I know if I was waiting on Georgia Power this long to get my house wired up, we'd be in trouble.
Well, they were gonna come in and do that work over Thanksgiving, weren't able to do it. I reached out to them today, said, when you're gonna put your three-phase pole in? They've gotta do it when we're not in schools, because they're gonna have to cut off power for a little bit. So that he told me they plan to do it this weekend, so fingers crossed.
This coming weekend?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, we've heard the motion on second. Are there any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by the opposing hand. Thank you very much. All right, I guess that's all of the action items. Next thing on the agenda is if there's any public comment, we're to hear any public comment. I don't see any. Okay, before we go into executive session, we always like to hear from all of the principals. So if we could, Ms. Hardy, we'll start with you in the high school.
Nothing's major going on, we're just.
Another
going along,
thing, huh?
Nothing at all, not worried about anything, no, we started milestones today, last week we held 2 review sessions after school for students. Y'all saw our subgroup, so I really try to encourage, a lot of those students as well, and we provided pizza for them, I think kids are like teachers, they'll do anything for food. So that was really well attended, and we were excited about that. We finished up last week for our last PD with Allison Neely, which is helping with the science of reading part. Really gave some teachers some good information on dyslexia, and we have some students that haven't been identified, so it's great that we're getting those resources. And I appreciate the football team the last 3 weeks getting me ready for the London trip, because it's going to be freezing, but the band is leaving December 28th to go to London to do the New Year's day parade. When they asked me to go, I said, sure, no problem. And then I said, whoa, how long is this parade? How long am I going to walk? So it's just about 2 miles, so not too bad.
Do you have to walk the whole parade?
I'm going to try. I'm going to attempt it, yes, sir.
I find me a spot and watch it. What you
Right.
about?
That's what I thought. No, I get to walk it.
You may want to stay warm, so walking.
Yeah, might help.
Terry.
Yeah.
We got Force and Band concert this week, as well as the holiday concerts. Force is tomorrow night, and band is Thursday night.
Very
All
good.
is well at the high school, and then we'll go win the state championship next week.
That's right. Absolutely.
And could I say something to her? We apologize, but we'll be at a conference in Atlanta for those concerts.
Oh, I
Sorry.
thought for the state championship, we can call somebody. They do a great job.
I know that.
Kudos to the band too, over the last 4 weeks.
Absolutely.
Great job.
Brantley, I know you sent it to me and you may have sent it to everybody else, but the comment from Kelly.
My Kelly?
Yeah.
Yeah, my Kelly, she just went on and on about the quality of our band program last Friday. She was just floored.
Yeah.
Because y'all supported it, so
Yeah.
thank y'all.
And that's cold weather doesn't make for great tone when you're playing. So that wasn't their top performance either, and no uniforms. So she needs to go to the Mercedes-Benz and watch it there.
They were more relaxed
It'll be amazing. Trying to be warm. A little warmer.
and warmer, yeah.
And I know they will represent us very well in London.
I'll try to as well.
Yes, I
The unicorn, you know.
This night, what's happening at the middle school?
We have lots going on too for a short month. Besides our building program, which is amazing to watch, happen so quickly. And I heard you encourage people, but please come by. I'd love to walk out there and see. I think you'll be so very impressed by what we're building. We had an art show last week that was absolutely amazing. I am so impressed with what our kids can do. And it's just fun to watch them learn and grow from what they did in 6th grade to 8th grade. And I love it. I love seeing that growth. I bought several pieces to put in our new building that the kids had done. I think that's going to be pretty cool for them to see it. We had an 8th grade field trip last week. We had some contacts at the Capitol that did some really special things for our kids that was very, very powerful. We have that high school we talked with last week about coming over for advisement, so we're getting that ready and starting that process. Had lots of kids in the Christmas parade this past weekend, and so much fun. Had a chorus and band group going to the nursing home in Athens to play and sing.
there, which I love. That's one of my favorite trips and my favorite things that we do. We do have a chorus concert coming up this week. We had a band last week concert that were unbelievable. We're going over to visit the elementary schools for the Jingle Jam. Thank you, ladies, for allowing us to come over and do that. Our kids absolutely love that, and seeing their teachers and showing off a little bit there. All kind of things going on, getting ready for finals.
All right, and like you said, the thing that amazes me about that middle school construction project is that you go in the back and you don't anticipate there's this big gym back there, and it's sort of hidden away.
Keep sneaking out there.
Yeah. Ms. Ferguson?
Yes, so we have, just the week before Thanksgiving, was a really busy week. We had our 4th grade patriotic concert. We also had an art show, and we had our Dragon Pit fundraiser all in 1 week.
All in 1 week.
Yes, and so we have collected a little over $60,000 with that fundraiser.
Wow.
And then last week and this week, more concerts. A lot of our 5th grade students have been able to participate in. We had the band concert, which was with middle school band. On Friday night, we had our recorder concert. Thankfully, it finished before the game started. And then this week, our 5th grade chorus gets to join with the middle school and high school for their concert as well. We also were super excited about the middle school coming over for Jingle Jam. That's a really exciting time. And then our teachers, we are able to give them a half-day planning this month to just kind of review how the response so far and see what we need to tweak and how we can adjust for next semester.
Oh, that sounds good. Ms. Joyner?
Well, we're busy as well, a lot of the same things, but we're super excited about the middle school coming to perform. The band's coming, and also the chorus group is coming to sing for us. But we had, our kids love the other students at the older schools, and we had the high school Miracle Club came and partnered with us for Cake Day, the Friday before Thanksgiving. So the proceeds went to Children's Health Care, and our kids loved all of us wearing cakes that day with our spirit wear. We too are having the half-day planning with teachers this week. We started today. They are gearing up for parent conferences. I saw some parents trickling in this afternoon. Just getting ready for the holidays. We just finished up our universal screener, and we're looking at that data and trying to make adjustments for January so we can make lots of growth and close those gaps.
Ms. Beck, what's the ribs? This is something goes on. Go ahead.
Things are going great in pre-K, as you can imagine. Their excitement, you can actually be felt when you walk down the hall. Just this time of year is especially magical for our little pre-K students. So we're embracing that and riding that train with them. It's going great. We've had over 60 students attend our play group, our birth to 3 play groups. We had over 60 students make connections with those parents and even help them outside services that they were in need of. So really our hope that we would start to be able to resource not only for our parents, but like the community as well. So we're excited about that. If you've not seen this teen center since it's been painted, you need to. It's beautiful. It's just a very beautiful neutral color, and that building is amazing. It's a perfect place for that playroom. So thank you for allowing us that room and for getting it painted, and it's going very well. Our little Christmas concert, which we're always excited about, is Wednesday night, and just we're getting ready for registration. We're already getting calls and emails about registration for next year. So wisely suggested we start a little earlier. So we're going to be open January 21st to March 4th for registration, and we're going to start getting that information out to parents as well. So excited about filling those 10 classes.
Great, thank you. Dr. Metzger.
Yes, sir. Things are great with us. Really exciting thing this week is Special Olympics, middle school, high school, Thursday. Elementary School Academy is Friday, so we're excited to go see our students compete and have a good time. It's a great thing for our teachers, our families, everything. But everything is rock and roll, just serving our kids and do what we do best. Thank you for all your support.
Where is it at this year?
East Jackson High School.
I forgot to mention our seniors are going on the senior field trip with Alex Coley and Walton Massey are taking them to Chattanooga
Yes.
overnight.
That's right.
And I will share too, since Ms. Hardy also spoke about our high school students, we had our first meet with our high school mentors. Ms. Hardy and I did this past week as we get that set up. Remember those high school students, we've got about 25-ish, 27-ish that are gonna mentor those students we've identified at the elementary school. They are so excited.
And it is bring that precious slip in.
Yes, it is going to be just an unbelievable experience on both ends. And this is gonna be something that is gonna be powerful. And the results are gonna be tremendous, and we're super excited to get this started. The kids are just fantastic. Ms. Hardy did a fantastic job of recommending and choosing the group of students that are gonna serve.
How many?
25.
25, yeah.
Guarantee you'll look back in 15 years and you will have several teachers come out of that you otherwise probably would not have.
Those 25 of them teachers were in good hands.
We are in great hands. Yeah. Everyone was full of excitement.
They were very excited.
But you could have one or two decide not to become teachers.
Some of us
You just need a net positive.
Still a good problem.
Yeah, right.
Ms. Hicks.
Things are continuing to go well with Jefferson Nutrition. We are currently wrapping up ServSafe certification this winter for our management teams. ServSafe is a food safety course that the health department requires at least one person in any kitchen, any working kitchen, obtain that certification. So I require it of both the manager and assistant manager of every kitchen. Theoretically, always have someone who has ServSafe certification. And food safety trained in every kitchen. Some of those managers had to be recertified, and others are receiving their first certification, and all of them have been performing very well. So we're very excited about that, and we are also very excited to begin recognizing some of our outstanding staff members quarterly, and we are looking forward to recognizing our winter quarterly staff members this Friday. So give you their sweet little write-ups. I have my managers, employees who have really been just doing a fantastic job, and asked them to write up a small little paragraph, letting us know about why they need to be recognized, which is really nice. We've also begun drafting plans for a little more student involvement. Hopefully, this spring. I'd love to get a little more student feedback on our menus, especially looking forward to the 25-26 school year, and I think that our students will be really excited about that when we can get that going. And I know that my staff is looking forward to having a little bit more input in the future.
Thank you.
Thanksgiving meal was delicious.
Oh, we have Christmas meal coming up, and there will be mac and cheese.
I'm real disappointed.
Our Christmas dinner is going to be on the 17th of this month. So if you guys want to come, all of our schools Christmas dinner. We'll do a little announcement on what that menu is going to look like at each of our schools, and my bookkeeper and I will be serving in at least one of those schools too. So
okay,
come join us. Merry Christmas.
Very good.
The Thanksgiving lunch was wonderful.
Thank you.
The dressing was wonderful.
Thank you. Lisa worked very hard on that one. Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions or concerns or comments? Hearing none, I have a motion that would go into, I think you asked for an executive session or personnel.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor? Yeah, thank you.